So, I've got a yard sale find that I want to share with you. I got some pop-out windows for 65 and up. These are for fit anything, I guess, from a 65 up through the 70s. And I have a 71. So this is perfect. This was a yard sale find. I found these locally. And the rubber is shot around the outside. So I've got some new rubber. I've got new seals. I've got a new bolt kit for the hinges. I can get new latches, not latches, but the little lock knob here for the latches. I can get that in black if I want. But these are all together, and I'm just going to clean them up. You can see how dirty the glass is. It actually was dirtier. I've already cleaned these once. I just cleaned off the heavy stuff, but I want to clean these off a little bit more. See if I can bring back the chrome on the latches a little bit. And when I do the paint and everything this spring, I'm going to clean these up even further. So I'm also going to take these seals out and put the new ones in. But the way that I like to clean up things like this is with some quadruple-aught steel wool and some WD-40. This, I just happen to have this old can. It's new WD-40. It's just in this million-year-old looking can, but it doesn't take much of this. Just a little. Well, now it's dead. Okay, I've got more, but this will clean the glass without scratching it, which is what we want. Just get the dirt and everything off. Polishes up the glass nicely too. Gets all the little, fly speck and everything else off. I think the seal between the glass and the the inner seal in here that seals it to the frame is pretty good. I don't think that has trouble at all. I think it's the just the outside one is bad. So you can get my WD-40 to spray again. No, it's done spraying for good. You should have like 10 WD-40s around anyway. And I'm just going to do the glass right now. I just want to see how clean and nice the glass is. These are original. They're not reproductions. They should fit. If they don't fit, I'll sell them and find some that do fit. They're the right size. These are supposed to be the right ones for my Beetle. There, now you can see through the glass. I didn't rub hard around the VW imprint or anything. I want that to stay nice. This little guy up here. And clean off all this WD off the glass. But now we got nicely polished and clean glass. You can use another cleaning, of course, but that's pretty good. So the other thing I want to do, of course, is clean up the chrome. And again, with our 4/0 steel wool. And down in our little crack there and everything, it should get all of the crap off the chrome as well. And it doesn't take long. I mean, if these are in fairly decent shape, you should be able to just run that around and clean everything up pretty easily. Like I said, I cleaned these up once with soap and water, but I didn't get the steel wool on them. As you can see now, our chrome is very nice and clean. It'll take a little bit more, but I wanted to get these to the stage where I can start getting them ready to put in this spring. A few steps to do before that. I've got to fix the headliner inside the car, and I've got to do the paint outside around the windows on that back end where it got bashed in 12 years ago. But once all that's done, these sit, you know, over the little dinged up around here. This is the inside. So that's kind of weird. I wonder what happened to it in there. Almost like it was pulled along something or something. You know, these were in a garage and someone may have set something down next to it that fell over and did a little number on that. But as far as the chrome goes, for the most part, I'm very pleased with how this looks. There's a little bit. Still. So here's kind of before and after here. Come down here, here's the one before. Sitting in the yard here, but you can see the chrome. It's got nasties on it on both sides. The window was pretty dirty, and this is the one we just cleaned here. This edge has those little ticks and stuff in it. Probably something, you know, scraped across it, but this edge is pretty nice. And like I said, the glass is real clear now. You can see my canoe through the glass. But I'm gonna get these hinges touched up as well. Let me move the camera for that. So we'll do the same for the hinges. We've got our WD-40 and our steel wool here. Now these are not that great. I guess these are latches, not really hinges. So I may take a brass wheel to these, but with just some elbow grease, They get better. Yeah, they're a wreck. They've got a lot of pitting on them. I'm not super concerned about that though. It doesn't bother me. I do want to get this heavy accumulation of oxidation off here, off either side. And get down to just the chrome. You know, it's the pot metal underneath, or whatever this is that they use. I'm sure it's some sort of die cast process. It's popping up through the chrome. It's corroding and, you know, taking some of the chrome with it. But for the most part, that'll clean it pretty well. Actually, if you take some tin foil, it's abrasive also. It kind of cuts down these tops a little bit. I'm not super upset about that. Yeah, you might want them to look perfect on your car. You might want to do it a little bit differently, but that's not the goal of what I'm doing to this car. What I'm doing to this car is make it look like it's been well taken care of. It was, up until I got it. It was actually very nicely taken care of. It just ended up getting rear-ended in Albuquerque one day, which kind of wrecked the back end, took out the engine and transmission, and then it sat for 10 or 12 years. Just because it's a pretty big job to put something like this back together. You know, a lot of people don't have the patience or the know-how necessarily to work on something like this. And I've got the patience and some of the know-how, and wanted to make it into something pretty good again. So you can see how that chrome comes out. That's a little bit pitted, but it's a lot better. And just cleaning all these up doesn't take very long, and you end up with a pretty nice reusable product at the end. So I'll finish cleaning these up, and then I'm gonna pull out the old rubber, and I'll bring you back, and we'll put in the new rubber. So now we've got these pretty well cleaned up. We gotta get the old seal out, and it's split right here underneath the hinge, and just chunks just come off, and it's stuck down in there. I thought maybe I'd take a side here, but you know, I can break I can break it off pretty well, but how to get that out? So I've got my workmate here, and a towel. Just kind of loose in there, just to hold it up more than anything. I wonder if I get a knife down in there, if I can do something, kind of cut it along that edge with a knife. So I can get down here along the chrome and cut off the little tangs inside there. I can pull it out like that. So there you go, and get out a half a time at a time, like that. And then what's stuck in there is this other side. It just wants to move all over the place. There we go. And that comes out like that. So do that around the whole thing. Not having to press super hard, just enough to kind of break it off. Let's do it around this way. Not break it off, cut it. I'm cutting that, little tang off. And that just gets out the one side, and then the other piece comes out like that. Super easy. There you go, come on. Ooh, that's bad. It is so crusty. The guy got to say, "You'll need new seals." I'm like, yeah, that's a given, really. We knew that going in. Don't cut towards yourself. Put an eye out. I'm gonna do it anyway. And then there's the other little strip. Sweet. That one's all out. Nice, huh? Let's get the other one. Yeah, I think it's a little bit easier to cut on this side because it's already bent that way. That pulled everything out in one shot. Oh, this one, the rubber's a lot better. Well, it's kind of just pulling out. That's it. Piece of cake, both out of there. Let's get the new seal and see about putting that in. So I've got a little wire brush here too. I'm just gonna get in here and clean out the boogies. And then I've heard a piece of people using silicone spray. I've heard don't use WD-40 on the seals to get them in. Soapy water is the way to go. I don't have my compressor hooked up, so I'm the compressor. So I've got the seal here. As far as I can tell, it's symmetrical. It's not asymmetrical. It doesn't have the curve in it naturally. It does have a seam, which I'm going to put to the back here. It's where the original seam was. It was right over this seam. I'm going to try probably some window washer fluid or Windex kind of stuff. And I may use a screwdriver, kind of push it in there. I'm going to experiment a little bit. You're going to watch. If you know a better way, tell me right now so I can do it quick. Let's just see how this goes in there. Yeah, so it's pretty sticky. And I decided instead of screwdrivers, I got some plastic spludgers for trim tools. And as an experiment, don't laugh at my bald spot. Yeah, so we're going to experiment a little bit. So the spludger tool seems to be the way to do this. You get the bottom in there, and it took a second to get started, but then I can coax this along this edge and push it in there with this plastic spludger. I've done this with a screwdriver before, and you end up tearing and ripping things, but with the plastic, you can see I can just get a little start and get it down in there without ripping the seal. And I still might use the window cleaner solution just to make it a little slicker, but that seems to be the way to do it. Let me zoom out here, and I think it's a good time for a time lapse. about halfway around now. The little liquid definitely makes it easier. I don't think it has to be anything in particular. I think water would probably work. It just lets it slide into the channel a little bit better. That was probably 10 minutes of work, so not long at all, maybe a little bit less. And just going to continue around. I have to use my hand this way. I found coming this way does not work. I can't get enough force on there. So putting a fist around my little spludger. By the way, Harbor Freight, 99 cents for a set of 4 of these. And I've used them for all kinds of stuff. They're nylon, they're pretty indestructible. The tips are a little bit goofy, but if you just file those, they get pretty nice. And for a job like this, it's perfect. I wouldn't spend any more. I'm going to spin this around so I come this direction, but definitely some liquid helps. All right. Well, as I went around, I made a real concerted effort not to pull on the rubber, to let it kind of hang back a little bit. I ended up with a little bit extra here, a little bit of a wave, but as these sit in the sun and get used, it'll kind of stretch itself out. I could pull on this a little bit and try and get it down around the corner a bit. For the most part, it's in there pretty well. I just want to go around and make sure there's nothing poofing out on this side. That was the side that slipped in. This is the side I kind of forced in. So I want to take my tool and just kind of want to go around, and I can feel it. Not trying to cut it, not pushing that hard. I'm just pushing that down in there. To make sure it's seated. And I'm in. New seal. So I've also got new hinge covers. I've got screws. These didn't come with any screws, so I got the screw plates that go in here to help hold it onto the car, and the hinge cover, and I've got the welting that goes around the inside of the window. So, like I said, I'm just getting these ready in about a couple months. Once I get things painted, it gets warmed up. I gotta get some 70-degree days or more. I'll finish the patches that I'm going to do on the headliner inside. I'm not replacing the headliner. I'm just going to do some patches here and there. It'll look fine. And then I got to paint the outside in a couple places where the around the windows, and I can take out the stock windows, and well, these are stock windows too. It's just not stock on this car, and I can put in the pop-outs. And I'm pretty excited. I've always wanted pop-outs in my VW, so there you go. Just a real quick tutorial. I'll do part 2 on how to put these in the car. Once we get to that section, get ready to do that on the car. If you got it's like 61 or something later, I don't know. Correct me in the comments, but the holes are already drilled. All those are in there. These holes are in there. The 65 earlier ones had 4 holes on the latch. These have 3 holes on the latch. You can get new latches. I'll use these for a while. Maybe do that someday, but these work. I'll put these in the car, and I'll have beautiful new pop-outs. Thanks for coming with me today, and hope you appreciate the video. Oh, like, share, and subscribe. If you do those 3 things, that'll really help me out, especially commenting. If you could comment, even just, hey Jeff, looking great, that would help a lot. Thanks. Have a great day. She wants to come outside and play.